Screen pass to Trayshawn DeAndre on the right side. He dodges Crushman, makes his way to the end zone. Touchdown! But wait a second. I think there's a flag on the play.
All right, you guys got holding on number 97, right?
Yeah, definitely holding. No touchdown.
All right, make the call.
Yeah, I mean, it was holding.
So make the call.
Or, we say the flag was for an excessive celebration so they can keep the touchdown and apply the penalty to the kickoff, huh? What do you say?
What are you talking about? I didn't see excessive celebration.
You sure? Could have sworn I saw a little nay-nay going on.
What's going on with you, man?
All right, look, guys, I got to be real with you. Trayshawn DeAndre just scored that touchdown. Okay, I have him on my fantasy team this week. I need these points.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you, Bill. I'm playing against my father-in-law this week, and if he doesn't score this touchdown, I lose.
Well, I'm not going to let you make a bad call because you're in some fantasy football league.
Make the call.
Craig, no. If you make one bad call...
This works out perfectly, Bill. I started the quarterback who threw the touchdown pass. We're going to have to ignore the holding call.
I had the kicker, and I was kind of hoping that he wouldn't convert on third down, so he'd have to kick the field goal.
Armchair.
Score was tied, the bases full, the crowd began to cheer.
Payoff pitch, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern, here on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel. We go live talking fantasy baseball, DFS, all through the world of analytics. Sean O'Toole and Stephen Troche. It's the Payoff pitch every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, talking fantasy baseball.
If you can make a hit in a ball game,
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Is that Shakespeare?
Nope, it's Geico.
Yeah, that's Shakespeare from one of his unpublished works. Oh, it be not for awakening. Nay, giveth thou the berries. For 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
No, it's from Geico, because they help save people money.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but Geico got it from Shakespeare.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Score was tied, the bases full, the crowd began to cheer.
Stay tuned for the Payoff pitch here on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel. We go live talking fantasy baseball, DFS, all through the world of analytics. Sean O'Toole and Stephen Troche. It's the Payoff pitch every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, talking fantasy baseball.
if you can make a hit in a ball game,
Take the scenic route in the new Hyundai Santa Fe, the family SUV with available H-Track all-wheel drive to help you travel way off the beaten path. Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
This is Jim Rome. Join me in the jungle for your phone calls and the biggest names in sports. Stop by weekdays, noon until 3 Eastern, 9 to noon Pacific.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
Good night.
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
Oh, wow, I'm pretty sure that's going to be there it is. Another flag on the play.
Multiple flags on the play. Holding. Offense number 97. That penalty was declined. Touchdown. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense number 22. Penalty will be applied to the kickoff.
This is going to be one of the strangest calls.
That son of a... You playing against Dick this week? Yeah. Could be worse, man. When I played against him, he ejected all my players.
What?
Armchair.
The Armchair Quarterback's on YouTube Live, covering the AFC South and NFC South along with the rest of the NFL. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
Add that up and you get 1092.
Divided by 3.
364.
That's what we're looking for. Three ball players whose average OBP is
364.
His on-base percentage is all we're looking at now. And Jeremy gets on base an awful lot for a guy who only costs $285,000.
Why do you like him?
Because he gets on base.
Armchair.
Good morning. How the hell are y'all this morning? Sean O'Toole, how are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. The more football we start talking, the closer it feels.
And Mr. Stephen Troche, how the hell are you?
I'm doing fantastic as always. Like Sean said, we got football coming up. I'm super excited for it. We got DFS talk today. I'm ready for it.
Bear with us. We are having big time internet problems. The new modem that Trash Comcast sent us is not working. I've had to reset it like a million times this week. So I reset it right before we went on the show because it crashed again this morning. So I'm hoping we can get through a damn show. So if we disappear, that's what the hell happened. And I don't have any control over it. They send you this new modem. Go, oh, this is great, man. We're gonna really do great things for you. And it has been nothing but trash ever since. So if they send you a new modem, tell them to kick rocks. That's all I can get at that. The big news in baseball this morning, the Blue Jays are heading back to Toronto July 30th. It has been approved by the Canadian government. So we have that, and y'all go ahead and hit the ground running as Marcus Stroman is still hiding behind Pete Alonso talking smack.
All right, I'll start with the bargain bin since that segment's kind of my thing. This point in the year, especially in fantasy baseball, you're either in one of two places. You're fighting for the championship or you're planning for next season. In most of my leagues, I'm unfortunately the latter. But if you're the former and you've spent a lot of money, especially up the middle of the diamond or in your pitching core, you might not have the greatest outfield. So one name I want to mention really quick is Cole Calhoun, who is definitely someone I've mentioned many times in the Chet Lemon All-Stars. For people who've never heard me mention the Chet Lemon All-Stars to McGee before, that's guys who are basically, just quality corner infielders, 285, 20 homers, 85 runs batted in. Like, there's just graveyards full of guys like that in the league right now and in the past. Cole Calhoun's definitely one of those guys. Coming off a really good season in 2019 when he was with the Angels, where he had a 325 on base, an OPS of 792, and an OPS plus of 105. He's always been kind of a quality hand. 33 homers, knocked in 74 in 2019. I'm not drawing anything from 2020. And I mean, he injured his hamstring like 4 minutes into the season and has barely played at all this year. He just came back 2 days before the All-Star break. So he's a name I would target if you have the opportunity to do so. He's always had a high batted ball rate and a high hard hit percentage. He does barrel the ball very, very well. The downside is obviously, you're shopping for outfielders in the Arizona Diamondbacks, neck of the woods, which is, to say they're the worst team in baseball is actually kind of an understatement. So he's my number one. And then my number two really quick, if he's available in your leagues, and if you're in a dynasty league, he probably isn't, but in a yearly league, I'll bet he is. Chris Sale is due to come back just about any day now. He just threw a 3-inning simulated start, only gave up 1 hit. They said he was touching about 95 to 96 on the gun. Depending on who you get your reporting from, they say it's anywhere from next week to, August the 5th that he's going to be activated and probably brought back to the big league team because the Red Sox believe they can win that division and run away with it.
Sale, he's most likely, according to the reports from Boston last night, he's most likely, we're talking about mid to early August. I don't think it'll be next week because he's only gone through one start, and man, you're coming off you got to
John, yeah.
You just got to build up his arm because the last thing you want is for him to have a regression. When you're leading the division, you want to make sure he's there for October. So yeah, I'll tell you what, You can put a fork in the Yankees too, man. They're done.
They've been done. They've been done. They've been done for a month and a half. They just don't want to admit it.
They really needed that win last night because now they put now they have 7 games with the Red Sox over the next week. And you're now asking yourself to basically go 6-1 down the stretch. So as that happens, and what that pertains to fantasy baseball, just from my view of it, is there's a good chance the Yankees have now become sellers and not buyers, because unless they win the next 3 games against Boston this weekend, that team's going to be selling.
Here's a funny thing, though. What are you buying from the Yankees? I mean, do you buying Voit? Maybe. I mean, Clint Frazier, who's never hit ever.
Voit went back to the damn IL.
I know. I'm just saying. What if you're the Yankees? What are you selling? You selling Judge?
I was screaming.
That's your most marketable piece.
I was like, I just picked up this jerk leg because I need someone, because I have nothing but I have a mash unit, as you know, Acuna and freaking all the other guys are waving to me from the damn IL. And I'm like, all right, well, let me pick up Void. At least, he can get some pop in the lineup. And then out of nowhere, he's going back to the IL. He felt a thing on a thing. And anyways, Aaron Boone, don't buy his stock either, because he is.
He's gone. But those are my 2 bargain bin guys. Trosh, over to you. What do you got?
My first bargain bin guy, with Ian Anderson going to the IL. The Braves last night activated Touki Toussaint from the 60-day injured list. He actually has looked pretty decent in his couple rehab starts. He's got 18 strikeouts in 2 innings, in 12 innings. My bad. That would have been pretty impressive if he did that. But it's looking like he's going to get a shot in the rotation. He's had a lot of issues with command and consistency before, especially last year. He really didn't look too good. I think he had a 8.88 ERA, but he has the type of repertoire and the strikeout potential that if he can really carry that momentum over to the major league level, he could really be a solid piece going forward. And I mean, he last time I checked, he was available in 99% of leagues. So I mean, he most
That's
likely
a high number.
will be there. Yeah, I mean, he's only 1% rostered.
Stay tuned. There's for a reason. Touki Toussaint is a bull that they're trying to turn into a starter. He's a Kyle Wright 2.0. And
the stuff is electric, but he's never been able to keep guys off base walking them. I mean, unless he can do that, it's risky, super risky.
Much more effective when they have in the bullpen, and he only uses 2 pitches. When he starts getting in 3-4 pitches, and maybe he's turned the corner, and I hope you're right. But what he's done typically in his career is he tries to mix in several pitches, because when you're a starter, you need more than 2. And that's where he runs into control problems, et cetera, et cetera. And also, when you come back through the lineup the second time, he's not as impressive. He's striking out minor league guys, but I'm going to have to see it on the major league level. When he was in our bullpen, you didn't put him in the 8th inning. That dude was sitting there in the 5th and 6th inning in a game that may or may not get out of hand. So anyway,
love to see him turn the corner. I think his legacy, if he's a quality major leaguer, is like what the Astros have figured out with Christian Javier, who I have in a couple leagues, and I'd love to see him be a starter, but he's wiping people out in these 3-inning bursts and just blowing them away. And if they use Toussaint like that in the long term, I agree with McGee. But yeah, he's a good flyer, Trosh. That's not a bad one at all, especially with all the injuries they've had. And they may just shut Anderson down. When I hear the word shoulder and there's, just treading water, that's bad.
When do they have him scheduled to pitch? Is it Monday or Tuesday?
I don't know if they have the exact schedule set yet. I mean, he was only activated last night. But I mean, he is definitely going to get his shot, and it's just I mean, like Sean said, he is a flyer. We know he struggles with consistency, but the ceiling is there to where he is most definitely worth the risk, considering some of the other names out there.
Well,
we'll say that.
And I'm not trying to crap on your theory, but one thing to keep in mind, if he's going to pitch in this first rotation, it's going to be against the San Diego Padres on either Monday or Tuesday, because they've already set the week. I'm looking at it right now. They have not announced when he may or may not pitch. So the only thing I would be hesitant on is he even going to be a starter? Because you still have Kyle Muller that you're going to have to fit in there. I don't know. I would think that he's going to get a chance for at least one start, but man, San Diego, just look and see who San Diego's running out to the mound against him that day. If it's weather, it might be worth a shot. If you find you Darvish, you might. That's
true.
He's one of those. You got to burn me, man, before I worry about Tukey, because he's already burned me a couple of times. And I do want him to do well because he has one of the coolest names to ever play Major League Baseball.
Yeah, that is true.
When we first came out, I thought it was a made-up name. I was like, "No, seriously, man, what's his real name?" Like, y'all call him Tukey over here. Come on now. Anyways, go ahead, sir.
No, you kind of mentioned some injuries, so like that kind of leads great into the next segment. The next guy I was kind of like the next guy I wanted to talk about. He kind of fits into the bargain bin and kind of So like one thing we're going to talk about today is some guys that are coming off of injuries, kind of like the Chris Sale type that Sean mentioned before, that could, just step right in and give you some instant value. And one of those guys I kind of picked up on one of our drafts the other night is Colton Wong. He's stepping right back into the leadoff spot in that red hot Milwaukee lineup. So far in the season, he's got a 299. He's batting 299, getting on base at a 352 clip, 48 slash. I mean, he's never been a major power guy, so I'm not too worried about that. He's got a 360 WOBA, 7 home runs. The one thing that's really sticking out to me is the 6 stolen bases. And like this league is really starved for stolen base potential. And he gives you that at a very shallow position. Then like another thing, just on top of him getting on base, he doesn't really strike out. He's striking out 16% this year, which is in line with his career average. He doesn't whiff at all, which is just a really, like he's thinking the bottom 10%, like top 10% there. And he's rostered in only 29% of leagues on Yahoo. I mean, he's a guy like I would go ahead and just go pick up if you need any kind of help in the middle infield. He's gonna like I said, he's slotted back into the leadoff spot there. Like as long as he keeps getting on base, the stolen bases and the runs are gonna come.
That's a good one.
Okay, go ahead, Sean.
That's a good one. No, that's a good one. I hadn't, and I watch a lot of Brewers games in this house, but I don't know. I have such a mental block against Colton Wong. I think McGee has the same thing where we've just seen him, trip over his own shoelaces so many times in big moments. Makes you think he is actually fairly solid from a fantasy standpoint. It's one of those better fantasy player than real life player kind of things.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, are y'all in any league where Chris Sale's actually available?
I don't think so.
I thought
maybe
no.
In the skies.
No, I don't. I think I have a yearly league where he was, and somebody grabbed him maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I couldn't believe he was available there. So
that's really, really hard to believe that he was available at all. Wow. Yeah.
It's just with TJ, in the dynasty league that we're all in, I think you have him, McGee, but you either carried him or drafted him.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Roto one, the 5x5.
Yeah, I drafted him. I picked him up after he was injured last year. I was like,
gotcha.
If I live long enough, he's gonna come back.
Oops.
This is like right in the middle of the freaking pandemic. I was like, if I don't die, this could actually help me down the road. Hey, by the way, your boy Jesus Aguilar, he's available in 38% of Yahoo leagues.
He's good.
I'm looking. He's solid, man. If you're looking for,
he's a bopper.
DH. He's always overlooked, but he's solid. He's already got 66 RBI on the year. 16 home runs, which is solid. But I mean, I think he gets overlooked. Him and Nate Lau of Texas get overlooked in a lot of leagues where you might need utility help with all the injuries and whatnot. I know they don't hit for a high average, but who the hell does anymore nowadays? 275 is the new 330. So those are two guys. And the one thing about Lau to keep an eye on, they're talking about he could be on the move. And that would be interesting because if someone added him to a potent offense, what Nate Lau could do.
Texas seems like they're one Jenga block from a fire sale. And I don't know if the first Jenga block is going to be Gallo or Lowe, but or Adolis Garcia. I mean, he's a lot older than people think he is. He was kicking around the minors for a while. He's not 22.
He's like 26, 27.
Yeah, 27, I think. So, I mean, the only guys in Texas I don't think anybody's untouchable. I mean, I think Gibson's the first domino. I think they're trying to move Gibson very actively. And once he moves, then they'll start moving some bats.
I think Ian Kennedy gets moved pretty quickly.
I'm surprised there's not more smoke around him because he's been great as a closer. We all remember him, as a good starter at one time.
Yeah, that's dating ourselves.
Hey, I watched him pitch in Arizona. I mean, he was there. It was a while ago.
I think the movie Major League was in the theaters at the time, man. Oh man, but anyways, go ahead. And I'm gonna throw this other guy out here because it's a little hard to believe that he's always out there. He's always available. Speaking of Garcia's, is Avisail Garcia of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Here's the most shocking thing, and I don't really need him in any of my leagues, but I look at this all the time. I'm like, how the hell is a guy with 17 home runs and 56 RBI and 4 stolen bases? How's he available in half of Yahoo leagues right now? It just it doesn't seem normal. We're in a lot of shallow leagues, but I'm thinking of like leagues where you're like 12, 14, 16 deep. How the hell is he only available in or only roster in 51% is what it says.
He seems to do this every year too. I mean, he's just always a very consistent under the radar power hitter, and
exactly. I mean, I think people get confused on who he is. I have a Sale Garcia. I thought that guy retired, and they're like, no, man, no.
Everything I know what you're thinking. He just does a year in, year out. I mean, he's like on Yahoo, he's a top 100 player. Why is he not rostered in any of our leagues?
I don't know. Well, I know why. Well, our leagues are a little different because they're pretty shallow because we always try to find people who make commitments to actually play. And it's hard to find 10 to 12 that are going to play consistently. We could load it up with 16 deep one year, and I guarantee you half the damn league is going to quit paying attention right around freaking June. They're going to, I got to get ready for fantasy football. And then we're going to be who are you playing this week? Another bye, essentially, because Bill or John or George or whatever, they decided that they haven't made a pickup in 6 weeks. It's like I can just pretty much rest my players till the playoffs. And then
you bring up a good point. He's always underrated. I mean, I've taken a lot of Tigers trades pretty hard, and it did work out for that one season. But when he was traded to Tampa Bay in the David Price deal, I was not pleased because I loved him when the Tigers had him. He was a wonderkind. He was Miggy Jr.
And if Adam Duvall gets traded,
that's a good one.
19 home runs, 62 RBI. If he gets traded, because the reason why I've never picked him up in our leagues is because when he's in Miami, Mattingly likes to play the righty lefty thing. But if he gets traded to a team that needs an outfielder, not like, oh, he's going to the Dodgers to be one of the 37 dudes off the bench that has 20 home runs. No, but if he goes to a team that actually needs an outfielder, then his stock goes way up in my book, because if he gets out there on a daily basis, man, he played phenomenally for the Braves last year. I was dumbfounded that they didn't re-sign him. I thought it was
the scary one for Braves fans would be if they trade him in division and send him to either Washington to replace Schwarber, or I don't know how the Mets would fit him in their outfield with Nimmo and Conforto and Dom Smith, but if they did, good God Almighty.
Schwarber shouldn't be out long term, but they could still possibly. Well, I don't know.
They can put Schwarber at first. What are they trotting out at first? The corpse of Ryan Zimmerman?
Josh Bell,
right? Who can't hit a lick. So I mean, yeah, it's
many things to watch is Josh Bell from Run the Bases. I'm like,
oh God!
Every time I see him run the base, I'm like, have you done this before? You look like you've never been taught how to cut a base. He like runs up to it, tags it, and runs. It's like a 4-year-old, man. It's just like, what are you
like doing? A baby antelope prancing around.
When he was in Pittsburgh, he was one of my favorite players to watch. I don't know if I ever owned him in any kind of fantasy format, but I always liked watching him play. But I never paid attention to his base running until he got to Washington. And now I'm like, dude, something's got to give here, man. Someone's got to teach you. It's one thing to be slow. It's another thing to be slow and awkward. I mean, one other guy that I do want to get y'all's take on, because there's a lot of trade rumors for him. He is only, he's available in 50 or 49% of Yahoo leagues. If he gets moved to a lineup that can generate some offense. Kyle Seager, 17 home runs and 52 RBI on the year. Now his average is junk, but can you imagine if he gets into, I don't know, I'd have to grab someone off the top of my head to think of, people keep talking about he could be going to the Dodgers, but I'm like, what the hell are they going to do with Justin Turner? But Kyle Seager is another intriguing. There's a lot of guys out there that basically I'm saying keep your eye on, because come trade deadline, if their positions, it'd be hard for me to see Seattle moving him, but they keep saying they're going to move him. But I'm like, you're in the middle of the wild card chase. Why are you going to trade Kyle Seager?
I was just gonna say it because I was gonna get to them in the DFS segment because I've got a couple of their players in my lineup already. They've been my sneaky fun MLB.TV team for the last 3 weeks. They are a lot of fun, and I'm gonna keep bringing them up, and somebody's gonna think maybe I'm personally know him or something. But dude, Chris Flexen's a stud, and if you had a chance to get him and didn't. I know somebody grabbed him in our mid-year draft, Trosh. His last 7 starts, he's basically a top 5 pitcher in all baseball. And he just keeps it, a couple of those starts were against soft tossing contact, but I watched him strike out Ohtani twice last night and made him look foolish both times. So I don't know. I kind of think Seattle's, here it is, McGee. Go ahead, get the sign up. They're frisky. I love them. I can't wait to see him play every day.
I watched him pitch last night. So good friend of mine stopped into town last night and we had beers and watched baseball and stuff like that. Had a really good time. Temus, who's on the Monday morning Red Sox and Yankees show.
Temus Wooten.
But when we were, so after the game ended, we still put on other late games. We were sitting there watching. I was telling him at the time, I said, dude, this kid, Chris Flexen, man, everyone makes a big deal about the other kids in their minor league system that are coming up. I was like, this kid right here is he's the solid one. He's the one you're going to be able to hang your hat on. The others are like, they got upside, blah, blah, blah. But if you're looking for a guy that you want to put on your team that you're like, I need a solid pitcher. You just watch his mechanics. He's a solid baseball player. I don't know if he's ever going to be an elite baseball player, but I don't think he's ever going to be garbage either. I don't think you're ever going to regret having him on. I
don't think they're building the rotation like that. I think they're building the rotation the same way the Reds have, where they don't have anyone that they have to pay $25 million a year. They just have five threes instead of a 1 and a bunch of 7s, basically. Because Gilbert's good, but he's not. His stuff's not overpowering. Emerson Hancock, who they've got in AAA, who could come up any day now. He's very much like Gilbert and Flexen. He's 93, 94, cutter, fastball, changeup, curveball. Like, I think Kikuchi's the ace of their staff, and then they just have a bunch of 2s and 3s coming behind them, which is a great way to.
I think it's just because you like saying Kikuchi. That's
I like saying frisky. You love that.
I'll tell you who's garbage, and I'm tired of having, as Sean says, cups of coffee with this guy, is Marco Gonzalez. But
yeah.
I dropped him in the final league that I had him yesterday. I was like, Bubba, I couldn't wait to get rid of him. I gave him like 2 more starts. I'm like, dude, this guy is junk. I mean, and before he was a junk pitcher that was finding a way to get through 6-7 innings in previous years and just being dominant, right? And you're like, damn, I don't know how he's doing it, but he's doing it. Now he's like Zach Davies on a bad day. You're like, ooh, what have I done?
He is the homeless man's Martin Perez, who everybody be honest with yourselves. We have all streamed Martin Perez once. He's in Boston. He was previously in Texas. He's had a few moments of high strikeouts here and there because he's always had a live fastball. Problem is the live fastball doesn't move, and he throws it right down the middle, and he can't throw anything else. So yeah, he's one of those guys. I know we need to move on, so I'm going to get one more injured guy that you should take a look at. Maybe not in a dynasty, but if you just need some pitching help towards the back end of the year, Carlos Carrasco is in the middle of his rehab assignment. Pitched a full minor league bit last week before the All-Star break. Showed off his full repertoire. A lot of reporting out of New York was that he looked great. Again, not a lot to read from the last 2 years. Again, this is a guy who went through leukemia, and then almost immediately when he came back from leukemia, injured his knee. So he's coming back from that. He's had a lot of health problems. So again, he's a risk. But if you even get 60% of the guy he was from 2015 to 2018, again, 14 wins, 11 wins, 18 wins, 17 wins, never less than 150 innings pitched. always a high strikeout to walk ratio. His highest was 10.8 in the 2018 season when he won 17 games. If he's even 70% of that guy and you take a flyer on him, that could be the difference between you winning your league and not winning your league. So I know we got to do DFS and then get into fantasy football. I just wanted to mention Cookie really quick before we ran.
Then I got one more guy I want to mention. If he's on your waiver wire, if you need saves, Ranger Suarez looks to be running away with the Phillies closer job. So far in the season, he's got a .75 ERA, a .75 WHIP, 38 strikeouts, 36 innings. He got a 7-out save against the Red Sox on Sunday to end the first half against the Red Sox. First game back, doubleheader against the Marlins. He gets a three strikeout save, gave up 1 hit, but he's looked phenomenal. I mean, he is just dominating this year. He's in the top 5% of barrel percentage, average exit velocity, hard hit percentage, like all the expected batting average, slugging percentage, WOBA, your ERA. He is just absolutely dominant right now. If you need saves, go pick him up. If he is not there, Heath Hembry for the Reds. He's got 6 saves so far since Lucas Sims and TJ Antone have gone to the injured list, and he has looked phenomenal. I mean, his season stats look kind of bad. He's got a 4.80 ERA, but the WHIP is like that. Like the WHIP is a more predictive stat. That's only at a 1.03. He got 51 strikeouts in 30 innings. If you need saves, those 2 guys are still out there in more than 45%. No, in more than 50% of your leagues. Go pick them up while they're still there.
All right, so let's go ahead and dive into DFS.
Yeah, I'll start with. Go ahead, sorry. Yeah, I was going to start with a couple of pitchers I like. Again, I always have a process. I kind of like to save on pitchers. I don't like to get spendy on pitchers because I really think that the elite hitters are where you need to spend the money. So, a couple of names really quick. The aforementioned Yusei Kikuchi, Frisky M's, playing against the Angels tonight, who I'm sorry, just can't hit. And they came out of the break looking as bad as they did going into it. And one name you should not discount, McGee and I have seen this guy a couple times, and he's much better than his advanced numbers would have you believe, is McGill of the New York Mets, who's going against Pittsburgh today. Again, there's a lot of games that have weather advisories, so please keep an eye on your weather reports. And if those games get postponed, as so many did yesterday, notably the Tigers and Twins doubleheader, have a backup plan in place. But Kikuchi's 8,900, McGill's 8,000. Those are pretty affordable compared to the people that are at the top of the docket today: Garrett Cole, Brandon Woodruff, and oh boy, we haven't even talked about this, but Woodruff versus Castillo today. Woo, have that on your television screen. That is appointment television. So Kikuchi, McGill, those are my pitchers. I'll let Trosh do some hitters.
No, I love McGill. He actually had 7 strikeouts in 3 innings his last start, which was against Pittsburgh. I love that today. 2 pitchers I want to touch on. You just actually kind of mentioned it there, Luis Castillo. I wouldn't recommend using him in cash games, but he has a great dart throw in tournaments. He's really turned things around. Like I've said multiple times on this show, but Milwaukee has been just as hot. The only thing the saving grace for them is or for Castillo today is in DFS. Ultimately, all your points are going to come from strikeouts. That's what you need, is a guy with high strikeout potential. And Milwaukee has been striking out 25% of the time against right-handed pitchers in the past few weeks. Castillo has that elite strikeout potential. Like I said, I'm not touching him in cash games, but in GPPs today, he's only double check that price. I think he is at 7,300. I think.
Who?
7,500. Luis Castillo.
Yes,
but he's a great way to save, get some bats. Another guy I love is Nathan Eovaldi today. He is facing the Yankees, but like you guys said, they are done. And since June 27th, the Yankees have the league worst WRC plus versus right-handed pitching. Yeah, that's at 64. They're striking out a league average 24.5%, but they also have the lowest slugging percentage and average in the league, and the second lowest OBP. They are also missing they're also missing Aaron Judge today. That lineup is just not going to be good. Yeah, Eovaldi has had some success against them, 25, 27 points this year against them. He is 8.4K. I love it. One more pitcher is Brady Singer at 6,600. A lot of strikeout potential there. Very high strikeout lineup against right-handed pitching in Baltimore. Great way to save some money and get some bats. I think that's really throwing things off today. So everyone's favorite stack today, as we saw from last night with a 20-plus run barrage, is going to be San Diego against the corpse of Patrick Corbin. But unfortunately, that is the game with the biggest weather advisory. So that is a very tough spot. Like, really, really pay attention if you want to use them in your lineups. Pay attention to the weather, see like where that's going to be going. I actually kind of like, if that game goes, I like stacking Washington on the other side against Blake Snell. They've had some success. There's a lot of players in that lineup that have had success against left-handed pitching, and Snell has just not been good this year. A couple other players I like. I love Mets left-handed hitters, especially Dominic Smith and Michael Conforto. They're a little bit cheaper than, like Nimmo McNeil or 4,700 and 4,800. But I like you can get, let me just pull up their prices. You can get Dominic Smith for 4,400 and Conforto for 3,400. He's still on a little bit of a cold streak, but if he can snap out of that potential, like his ceiling is right up there with the best of them. Any hitters in particular you like, Sean?
Yeah, a couple I want to mention really quick. McGee's, the only person that I know more plugged into the Braves than I am. But when I see Austin Riley hitting home runs to dead center or to right center, I know there's some kind of, one of these hot streaks that he hits coming. And he bopped one to dead center field last night. He also hits left-handers very, very well. And they're starting Josh Fleming today. So Austin Riley at 4,700 at third base is a pretty decent savings. And kind of on the flip side, in that same game, I just haven't liked what I've seen out of Max Fried. His last couple of starts since he's come out, he's just not, his breaking pitches and secondary pitches just aren't getting over for strikes. So he's having to put, that fastball in the middle of the zone. And if there's one person I trust to hit fastballs in the zone and hit them hard and hit them a long way off left-handers, it is Mr. Mike Zunino. You are not grabbing him today for batting average, but the potential that he could bop two out of the yard in Truist is always there. Also keep an eye on anybody with San Francisco that you like at a fair price. Mauricio Dubon, Darren Ruff. Yastrzemski's a little overpriced. Keep an eye on Belton Crawford because, Ha-Seong Kim, if you haven't caught his last couple of starts, count yourself as fortunate because they have been bad. He looks like he's, he almost looks injured. He looks like he's out of sorts. He just really can't find the plate. And when he does, it's very, very center cut. And San Francisco, for any faults they have, they do hit the ball when it's in the zone. They're one of the best teams in all of baseball at batted ball rate in the strike zone. I think they're in like the 95th percentile. Not only in BABIP in the zone, but just expected batting average in the zone. So if he has to live in the zone today, you could clean up on some of San Francisco's lower price guys. The one I like most is Dubon, just because he gets on base.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into fantasy football. By the way, I did finally create the contest that we do. It's slipped my mind last night when the beers were flowing, so I did. I just realized. Let me tell you how fun that was, hanging out with a diehard baseball fan, and had to reset the internet like 3 freaking times last night because we're streaming games. I'm like, right now, it's like just absolutely asinine. All right, let's go ahead and dig into the running backs. We're going to do running backs today for fantasy football, and we're going to talk about our top 10, and then we're going to throw a sleeper or two, and then maybe guys that are overrated. So, Sean, I'll start off with you. Give me your top 10 running backs in fantasy football.
Okay, so I'll go 10 to 1. My number 10 is Ezekiel Elliott. My number 9 is Austin Eckler. My number 8 is Jonathan Taylor. My number 7 is Alvin Kamara. My number 6 is Nicholas Chubb. My number 5, and here's where things get interesting, is one Mr. Cam Akers. My number 4 is Derrick Henry. My number 3 is Saquon Barkley. My number 2 is Christian McCaffrey. My number 1 is Dalvin Cook. So fairly chalk towards the top 4. I think that would be most places top 4 if you polled everybody. I'm very, very high on Akers. I am not very high on A couple of people that are in some top 10s I've seen so far, Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones. I have them closer to the bottom of my top 10. I've seen them in the middle in some other places. I'll speak to those things really, really quick, and then I'll let everybody else go. Taylor, is a stud. I just think Frank Reich has a history of deploying those, Darren Sproles type third down backs, which I think is going to limit his value. And he did get a lot of touchdown luck last year. And I just think that might regress to the mean. I also do worry about the sophomore slump. That's a thing with running backs. It goes back well over a generation. You can go look it up. And as far as Aaron Jones, I just don't know. I'm so confused by everything that's going on in Green Bay right now. I have no compass for how things are going to shake out in that backfield, because they did just draft AJ Dillon, and also their wide receivers just terrify me if they're going to have Jordan Love throwing passes to him, because I just don't know what's going to happen there. But, a lot of time until drafts and the season starts.
All right, Steven, what say you?
So, we have a lot of similarities, but a lot of differences. So I do agree on the Aaron Jones. I'm really shaken by what's going on in Green Bay right now. So he is out of my top 10 for the time being. My number 10 actually is Antonio Gibson out of Washington. I think he's going to really, with all the rumors, and he's been taking on more passing work this year. I mean, he was basically a wide receiver in college, a converted running back. I think that just the ceiling, the potential is sky high there. Eckler, number 9, just on a points per basis last season, he was actually higher than Christian McCaffrey. He gets back into that offense full time with Justin Herbert taking the next step. I think we could see a lot out of Eckler. Taylor, he is my number 8. I kind of share your sentiment there. I'm not really sold. And also we have Marlon Mack coming back, and people forget how good that dude is.
He was good.
I mean, if he gets some extended run, I could see Mac really cutting into his workload. And one thing I've really heard about Indy in general is that they are a very much share the love, everybody gets fed. And I don't think that really suits the workhorse that Jonathan Taylor is being drafted at. Got Nick Chubb at 7. Zeke is my number 6. I think he's really going to bounce back this year, maybe for just this year only, but I think he's got a real good shot to get a lot of touchdown regression there. So I got Kamara number 5, Dalvin Cook number 4. This is where we start to differ. Got Cook at 4. I think he's going to take a step back this year, mostly with Kirk Cousins taking over a little bit more. I think they're going to start feeding Justin Jefferson and making him the focal point of the offense. Derrick Henry number 3. Just one of the best running backs in the game. I can't get fully behind him as a top 2 option without the passing game work. And he's starting to get a little bit old. All that work is going to catch up to him eventually. Christian McCaffrey, number 2. He is one of the best in the game, especially for fantasy. But I think Darnold's not going to really adapt to his play style that well, which leaves Saquon Barkley number 1. I think he's going to come back with a vengeance, number 1 running back in the game. And he's going to prove it this year in his fantasy, number 1 running back.
Whoa. That's a bold statement there, Cotton.
There's been a different number 1 running back every year for at least the past 6 years.
Yeah, I
got a point. That's true.
So I'll do my 1 through 10 real quick. Man, I think a lot of people have just forgotten how good Christian McCaffrey was when he's on the field. And assuming you have to assume these guys are healthy, because if you're going to assume that they're not healthy, then they shouldn't be in your top 10, period. They shouldn't be in your top 20 if you think there's going to be injury. So I've got McCaffrey as my number 1 guy. Derrick Henry is number 2 because I know he's going to get fed at the goal line. I know the guy's going to get somewhere between 15 to 20 carries a game. He's made of freaking granite. I'm not worried about him breaking down. Maybe in a few years, but I'm not worried about him. He's still a really young guy. And the threat now that you're going to have with Julio and AJ Brown is going to open up some big running lanes, or you're going to have to sell out to stop Derrick Henry, and Julio Jones is going to be out there on your nickelback. So
or Anthony Ferguson is the top 5 tight end.
Right. And I don't know if Tennessee will be able to play any defense, but they should be a fun team to watch regardless. So as far as real football, that jury's out. But as far as the world of fake football, which we live in, Derrick Henry is by far my number 2. My number 3 guy is Kamara. And there's so many things that I don't know what to make of Alvin Kamara this year. The biggest question is, no matter who plays quarterback, how much will they lean on Kamara? Because you've done this thing where games where you expect Kamara to get fed, and he just ends up getting like 8 touches in the backfield and catches 3 passes. You're like, what the hell is this? And then on games where you're not expecting him to go off, he scores 6 touchdowns against the Vikings. And you're like, what? I don't know what's going on. You're spotting dimes, you're eating onions. I don't know what's going on over there. But the talent alone tells me I don't want to pass up on Kamara. And then I go to Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is still going to be the focal point of that offense, because to get Cousins to get the ball to Jefferson and company, you're going to have that threat of the running game. And no matter what people try to tell you about all the handcuffs and everything for a Cook, he's still the elite back in that backfield. Once you get past those 4, that's where it gets iffy. And I like the Saquon Barkley thought process. He's coming off that injury, and I'm a little hesitant to draft him that high. So this is my next 6, and I'll skip the reasonings because we're going to run out of time. But my next 6 would be Chubb, then I would have Zeke, then Saquon, then Cam Akers. I've got to have Aaron Jones in my top 10. He's the only running back outside of the only other running back in the history of the NFL to have 3,000 yards and 35 touchdowns in his first 4 seasons.
Yep.
It's him, and it's Jim Brown, and that's the list. Any listed any guy.
Wait. Can I ask you a question? Is that good? Was that good?
What about AJ Dillon?
He has not done that in his first 4 years. I'm just telling you, man.
That's the best comeback ever. I'm sorry.
I have a hard time, because here's my fear, Steven. I buy into the AJ Dillon hype, which is warranted because he's been really good. And then you get to the season, and you're like, oh crap, it's the same team they were last year, where AJ Dillon's going to have like 1 or 2 good games, and the rest of the time it's going to be Aaron Jones, Rodgers doing dump offs to Devontae Adams, and that's the Packers. And so my number 10 guy that I got to put in there, because it's a little surprising to me he's as low down as he is on a lot of people's roster, because he's going to be the focal point of their offense essentially, is Austin Eckler. I just think if that kid's healthy, PPR, half point PPR, he's just got a lot of upside. I know I left a couple of names out there that you're like, man, I can't believe I left Taylor off and blah, blah, blah. But I what y'all laid out with Jonathan Taylor and the Colts is a concern to me, that he may not get the lion's share of the load, and that's the key to fantasy.
I think he's just going to be a better real life running back than 100%. A fantasy running back this year. That's the best way to say it.
And before we get into our sleepers, and I'm not going to say bust, but overhyped, overpaid, Najee Harris, he's going pretty damn high for a rookie. And I know he was elite in Alabama and whatnot. So what I want to know is, are y'all buying into that Najee hype train where he's going close to a top 10 pick for running backs across the board? Would you buy into that, or are you more likely to go with what like a Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, who we didn't even mention, had a phenomenal end of the year last year? I just don't know what the Bears are going to do. Sean, I'll start with you.
This is going to be my first frisky take of the fantasy football season. I'm gonna say it loud for everybody to hear it. 2 thumbs down on Najee Harris. That offensive line is garbaggio. And for people that did not watch the last 6 games last year, that offensive line is horrible. I actually have a prediction about the Steelers I'll make right now. I think this is the first time under Mike Tomlin they finish under 500. I think that is a bad football team. And I don't think there's any way a rookie running back is saving them. And rant.
So you're saying no playoffs for the Pittsburgh Steelers, even with the expanded format?
No playoffs. I think they will be a 4 to 7 win team at best. They are carrying a 47-year-old, 800-pound corpse at quarterback. and that offensive line is awful. And that Najee Harris is a great athlete. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's going to be a bust long term, but I'm not buying this year. But let me get burned by it. I'll be happy to get burned by it.
Well, they could always bench Roethlisberger for a younger, fatter version of him.
Yes, they could.
No, I mean, I'm definitely passing on Najee Harris at his ADP right now. He's going as the 20th overall player.
There's just no way. No way.
Actually, no.
Swift, Dobbins, Chris Carson, Mostert, Josh Jacobs, Miles. I can give you like 10 names before I am that I would take.
His average ADP is 13.7. His rank is 20th overall ranked. Just to put in perspective, I'd rather go Antonio Gibson there. I'd rather go Joe Mixon there. I'd rather go Clyde Edwards-Helaire there. He's one of my favorite sleepers. One of the guys I wanted to talk about, but yeah, I'm not paying that kind of price for him with the offensive line as is with Ben Roethlisberger.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and jump to the sleepers. Who did you say? Did you say CEH?
Yep, CEH is one of my sleepers. So like last season before Lev Bell came in and he got hurt, he was putting up top 12 running back numbers. Lev Bell is gone this year. I mean, not like he was really doing too much, but he took away enough. That team is going to be really hungry to prove that their Super Bowl championship wasn't a fluke after last season getting stomped by Tampa Bay. But he did have some notable issues, but I think Andy Reid is still really high on him. He's got a great rebound potential. He's being drafted as the 16th running back off the board, and he has top 10 at minimum potential. I mean, I like that. Go ahead.
Sean, what say you on sleepers? Because we're running out of time.
Yeah, I mean this one's I'm gonna get dragged for this one, and it's fine. I don't mind getting dragged. One of my number one sleepers is honestly DeAndre Swift, just because there's nobody in the backfield to compete with him other than Jamal Williams. And I don't think Jamal Williams is going to compete with those catches, with those receptions. So the thing in fantasy that I really like, and especially if you're in a half or a full PPR, is running backs who can play on third down. The guys that don't play on third down tend to have, limited upside. You have to really count on touchdowns. That's why I'm really low. I'm very low on Josh Jacobs this year, because they brought in Kenyon Drake to catch passes and to be the third down back. So, those between the 20s guys, you have to count on goal line touchdowns if they're not going to be part of the passing game. Swift was a part of the passing game on all downs last year, for the Lions. Obviously, if you look up DeAndre Swift catches, the first one they're going to show is the one he missed, that went right through his hands that would have won the game against, I think it was Cleveland. But he's a very interesting one to me that I like a lot. The other one, and this is kind of a two-headed monster, but the best offensive line in the National Football League, and it's not well known that they are, is in San Francisco. And when he was healthy last year, Raheem Mostert played like an RB5 or above, and they drafted Trey Sermon. And if you didn't watch Trey Sermon at Ohio State, and unfortunately I saw more of him than I wanted to running down the sidelines of the Big House, Trey Sermon is a stud and is very, very good and will make an immediate difference on that team. Mostert and Sermon is a two-headed monster I would draft 100 years before I would draft Najee Harris. You could say the same thing about Rojo and Leonard Fournette, who had a great year last year. I like Rojo as well, too. But if you're giving me one name, I got to give you one name. It's going to be DeAndre Swift, because I don't think the Lions are going to be that good, but I think they will be competitive, and I think he's going to be on the field for all of it.
All right. I'll just give you one sleeper real quick. I'm a little surprised that he's going as low as he is, and that is Mr. Mike Davis of Atlanta. I think,
love him.
I think he's going to have an opportunity. I'm not saying go nuts and draft him in the top 5. What I'm saying is his ADP right now is around 23rd ranked running back. Depending on, I got 4 different things, and that's
insane. He performed as like an RB5 last year when he was in there.
Same area that Kareem Hunt and ETN, who are not the primary backs in their
good Lord.
And so I look at that, I'm like, what?
Atlanta's going to play in a ton of shootouts because their defense is horrible.
Try to lean on him because they can't have their 68-year-old quarterback back there dropping back passes a game.
Exactly.
Eventually, you're going to get hit. So, and you're talking about an Arthur Smith coming from Tennessee. What did he like to do? He liked to run the ball. So I just kind of figured him and Myles Gaskin really are head scratchers if they're far down as they are. Because when you start having guys that are above those two guys that I don't have any faith in, like Miles Sanders, for instance. I'll even throw out there that I'm not the biggest supporter of. I know I'm going to get killed for this, but Antonio Gibson, to me, it's got to be a full point PPR league for me to really invest into Antonio Gibson. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think he's a little overpriced. I think he's top 15-ish, but Gibson's in a lot of people's top 10s, which is just crazy to me. Unless you're like in a double PPR league or something like that, you're something wild, because
he's a fascinating case to me, because I think people are counting on him getting more catches this year than he did last year. And that's not the case. J.D. McKissick led all running backs in receptions last year, and he's still on that roster. So
I think the J.D. McKissick love was more just because Alex Smith couldn't throw it more than 5 yards downfield. And
well, that's true. And they have Fitzmagic now. So yeah, that's true.
Well, and that's another thing. Are they going to even run the ball?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna drop back 46 times and chuck it. He's gonna be chucking ducking all over the place.
You can call whatever run play you want, but he's gonna audible at the line.
He's gonna audible the chuck and duck. Yeah,
they open. They're gonna be open. Let's go. One bust, and then we got to jump out of here.
I'll go.
All right, I'll go ahead. You first.
My main bust is Chase Edmonds. He's being drafted as the 26th running back off the board. People are basically expecting him to take on a bigger workload with Kenyon Drake going away, but they kind of went out and signed James Conner to kind of take that part. I don't really see them giving him an expanded workload. I think he's going to really stay in that third down passing back role, which is not something I want to spend high end RB2, low end RB2, high end RB3 draft pick on. And something I wanted to mention with DeAndre Swift, they may not get I always get the ideal game script for him, and I could see them kind of shying away from the run, even if he does get there is some passing work. I could really see Jamal Williams getting getting some of the grunt this year, and then kind of saving Swift for next year. I mean, I just a couple guys I love in that range around him. CEH, JK, I mean, not Dobbins, but Chris Carson, David Montgomery. I much prefer those three guys over Swift in that range.
All right, Sean, we got to.
Yeah, I'll bust it really quick. I don't know how much of a bust this can be considered, but I have seen some places where David Johnson is about 25 for Houston, and then Phillip Lindsay is about 35. Under no circumstances should you draft anybody on the Houston Texans this season. Their quarterback is going to be in Bill Cosby's cell in about probably 3 weeks. Would you like to jail the pudding? And there is nobody on that roster I would touch with a 1,000-foot pole. They actually might be the 68 Mets of the NFL this year, like the least watchable team of all time. So avoid Texans by any means necessary.
Can't argue with that.
My one big bust would be Miles Sanders once again. That guy's gonna have to burn me before I draft Miles Sanders. I'm going to draft Gaskin. I'm going to draft Davis. I'm going to draft a litany of players. Swift's down in that area. Like those guys have much higher upside than a Miles Sanders who looks good in the highlight reels, but the problem is there's about 4 a year, and that's about it. Sean, what's your walk off?
My walk-off for today is everybody be safe out there and enjoy the baseball. It is a packed day, couple of double headers. And like I said, I think it's the national game on Fox, Milwaukee, Cincinnati, Woodruff, Castillo. That is primetime Saturday night baseball at its finest. Get in front of a TV to watch that.
Steven?
Same sentiment. Just enjoy some baseball. Watch that pitching matchup. One more quick cheap stack. Go and get your Royals today. I think they're going to pop off against Jorge Lopez.
My walk-off for the day is a lot of great baseball on, and Jesuit's winding down. You got Game 5 in the NBA. Looking forward to that. And going to try to get in the pool. And I can't believe it, but the internet made it all the way through this show. We'll see you next week.
Hallelujah.
If you can make a hit in a ball game.